So I'm Dane Coleman. I'm a senior and I'm majoring in materials science and engineering. So honestly, unless you're in a competitive setting, the rules are pretty non-enforced. There are specific guidelines that you're supposed to follow, such as starting with 2 hands on the starting rock, which is usually labeled with a piece of tape that states the difficulty and the name of the route. And the different routes have different colored rocks, so you're supposed to stay on that specific route only using rocks of that color. But to make things either easier or harder on yourself, you can vary the different rules. Like I said, they're kind of more like guidelines. So you can either make it harder or more difficult on yourself by either changing where you start or changing what rocks you're able to use, and kind of making your own route out of it. So rock climbing is typically done on a much taller wall, and has the person that's climbing needs to be harnessed in and belayed by a second person. It's the typical thing you think of when you see rock climbing. The person's in a harness and they have a rope going up to the top of the wall that goes back down to the person on the ground, making sure that if they fall, they're caught and not gonna, plummet, get hurt. So bouldering is it's the same idea, except you don't get very high off the ground, and they have a very thick mat underneath, so if you do fall, you're not going to get hurt, and therefore you don't really need the other person to catch you, and you don't need to be harnessed in. So it's a lot less of a startup to begin bouldering, but you also can't go to such extremes as you can with rock climbing. So the only thing you really need as far as equipment for bouldering is the wall itself. And pretty much everywhere that you go that has a wall is going to have any accessories that you might want, such as bouldering shoes or hand chalk. But the most difficult part is progressing through to harder and harder routes. Once you kind of get good at one difficulty of route on the rock wall, kind of getting to the harder routes is it's kind of difficult and frustrating when you try one route a few times and can't quite get it, but it's super rewarding when you do get it and you can kind of move on from there. So the rock wall goes on, I don't know what the system's called, but I call it the V system, where it's 1 through whatever, and the 1 or 0s are easiest, and then 1s are a little bit harder than 0s, 2s are a little bit harder than 1s, 3s are harder than 2s, and I don't know what it goes up to, but here I've only ever seen V6s, but those are very difficult, so I'm only at like a V2, maybe a V3. Definitely isn't easy. You don't need to be an athlete or super fit to get into it, but as far as the learning how to use your feet and hands and body in a coordinated way to climb up a wall it's very challenging, both physically and mentally, on where you need to go, where you need to position your body, and using your muscles to actually do that. And a lot of times people either try to muscle their way up the wall, which works for some routes but not for others, and then some people just don't have the adequate strength to even get halfway up the wall. So as far as physical requirements that you need, you don't need much to start off, and you'll definitely build up to what you do need to move on.
You want to add anything else?
Bouldering's fun.